Folks at home, welcome back to the 5-acre pond build, and if you missed the previous videos in this series, I'll put a link down in the description below. So we're going to roll a quick time lapse of this pond filling up, starting from day 1 going all the way to day 36, and we finally have enough water in the pond so we can add some fish over the next couple of weeks. It's probably going to be bluegill and fathead minnows first, and then we're going to add some threadfin shad in the spring. The reason we're not adding the shad now is because a harsh winter could kill off a bunch of them. But one of the main focuses of this video is going to be water quality, and we're going to do several tests to make sure we have all those parameters right before we add fish. Okay, let's take a look and see what's changed with the water levels. You can see now we have water completely under the dock. Our light that's sitting off to the left of the dock is underwater completely now. The oak throne is almost underwater. It's probably got about another week before it's completely submerged. So one of my concerns is the water quality issue we may have, because I'd say we've pumped about 75% of the water in from our underground well, and sometimes you can have poor water quality when you do that, especially with oxygen. When water comes from 150 feet below the Earth's surface, it has low oxygen. So I went out and got a dissolved oxygen test kit. So that's one of the things we're going to be doing, is measuring the oxygen levels in the water. Gonna be time for a little chemistry class. But one of the things you can do if you do have low oxygen, there's different type of aerators and diffusers that can put that oxygen back in the water. We may need to do that. We got the fish coming in a couple weeks, so hopefully this test is going to tell us if we need something like that. All right, I got my little helper here. She's going to do a water test with me.
I'll compare it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you will.
I'll
All right.
scoop some water out for you.
Now it says the most critical part of any dissolved oxygen test is sampling. And so it says exposure to the high oxygen content of air will cause a sample to approach saturation. Dipping and pouring operations should be performed with as little agitation as possible.
Sarah,
Set that down.
set that down right there.
Sample cup, place the ampule tip first into the sample cup.
All right, Sarah, you want to do that?
Sure.
Then it says snap the tip, the ampule will fill, leaving a bubble for mixing.
There he goes. That was pretty cool.
Alright, now it says to mix the ampule, invert it several times, allowing the bubble to travel from end to end.
You see the bubble, Sarah?
I saw it. I see the bubble.
Alright, so we let it sit for 2 minutes, and we have a dark purple, and you compare it to these other colors, and that tells you how many parts per million of dissolved oxygen you have. So it looks like we're somewhere in the 10 to 12 parts per million range, which is great. It means we shouldn't have any oxygen issues. I want to say that it's somewhere around 3 parts per million that is the bare minimum oxygen level that fish can live in, but usually you want it up around 6 or higher. So that lets me know I can get away with a diffuser, which kind of spreads the oxygen throughout all the different layers of the pond, and I don't necessarily need a surface aerator, which would create more dissolved oxygen. Now we're going to have to take a small break from the pond projects because the Iron Bowl is about to kick off and it is time to fire up the grill. Today's video is sponsored by the fine folks over at ButcherBox. If you haven't heard of them, they provide high quality meats and seafood to your doorstep every month. And right now they're having their Black Friday sale where new members will receive 2 free New York strip steaks in each box for an entire year. That's a good deal. That's probably the best deal I've seen yet. But unfortunately, this is the last day of that promotion. It ends on 11/28. You don't want to miss out on that one. Folks, it just does not get any better than this. Grilling out by the pond. Got the sun setting over there. Cow pastures in the background. Gotta love the country. Alright, for the steaks, I marinate them in Dale's and minced garlic for about 20 to 30 minutes. And once they hit the grill, add some southern flavor. And for the ribs, I use a yellow mustard base and then use Tony's and southern flavor as the rub. So a big shout out to ButcherBox for providing these great tasting meals that we enjoy out here at the farm. But if you're interested in trying it out yourself, I'll put a link down in the description below that will take you to the Black Friday deal. And the great thing about it is they're flexible. You can cancel anytime without a penalty. Check that out. The steak and ribs smell so good, even the deer had to come up and check it out. And speaking of deer, I had one of the most unusual encounters with a deer this week. I was out at the farm riding around on the Polaris working on some projects, and I saw a deer walking down the pond dam. Which is pretty odd because when we're out here making noise, they don't really come around. But as it got closer, I could tell it was a small deer and probably looking for its mom. But check this out. Did you lose your mama? Come here, buddy. I got some food for you. It's crazy how close he is. Come here, buddy. You want some food? He just lost his spots. I'm sure his mom's around here somewhere. Hey! I don't want to get too close to him and scare him. Come here, buddy. They might have just now recognized me. Yep. You want some food? Still got spots. Come here, buddy. Come here. I'm not gonna hurt you. You're just coming to check out the pond, aren't you? Go get some corn and put it out. See if he's hungry. That's pretty wild. Man, you never know what the pond is gonna bring. Now the next water test I'm going to do is test the pH, alkalinity, and hardness of the water, and I'm going to test it at the well and in the pond. And the reason I want to test it at the well is to see if I'm putting good or bad water into the pond whenever I have to pump it in. And for the pond test, once that well water mixes with the clay blanket, it changes the parameters of the water, like it may raise the pH. So these numbers are important because they're going to let us know if we need to lime the pond this winter, which is a key factor in fertilizing it in the spring. Alright, now we're going to get this sample out of our well. It'll come directly from the water hose out of the well. You can see, nice clear drinking water. Alright, so to take the pond sample, I wanted to get as far away as possible from that well where we're pumping it in. So I came all the way over here to this shallow cove known as Bonnie's Bayou, and we're going to get a sample from right down there. Water's looking pretty clear over here too. Alright, that ought to do the trick. You can see it's got a little bit of cloud to it, but just standing here looking at it, looks pretty clear. I can see the bottom there. And so we got our two samples here, and the easiest way to get these tested is to take it to a pool store. And there's a couple different ways you can test it. One of them is using test strips, and you basically just dip the test strip down in the water, and the color will tell you what range your parameters are in. But the better test is called a spin test, and the reason I like it is because it's a little more accurate, and it actually gives you a digital printout that you can read and see your exact numbers. So the first one we tested was the well water, and you can see that our pH level was a 6.3, which is really low, and the alkalinity was basically 0. And for the pond water test, you can see the pH is 6.5, so as that well water entered the pond and interacted with the clay blanket, it actually started raising the pH level. So earlier I mentioned that we could lime the pond, and that's basically going to just increase the alkalinity, which lowers the amount of free carbon dioxide in the water and then raises that pH level. And the lime will also increase the dissolved minerals in the water, and that'll reduce the stress on the fish. So we are going to talk to the biologist about potentially liming the pond this winter. Alright, the next test we're going to do for the water is what I call the life test. So I got some golden shiners out of the backyard pond. That's backyard pond water right there. But I'm going to take water out of the 5-acre pond, put it in here. I'm going to use that bucket, fill it up until we get this full. And I've got an aerator, and we're going to see if those golden shiners can live out here in this 20-gallon aquarium in that water. And that hopefully will tell us a lot about the oxygen and the other parameters. Water's looking pretty clear. We need something deeper than that. Don't have to go down to the deep end. Any other time of year, I'd just walk right out there, but it was almost in the 30s last night, so it's a little bit cool. This should work. Alright, I got a little bit of murky water, but for the most part it's clear. If I turn that bubbler on, it's going to put dissolved oxygen in the water, and that's going to eliminate one of the things I'm testing for. So I think I'm going to put them in there for maybe 30 minutes to an hour without the bubbler on. Make sure the dissolved oxygen is good, and then turn the bubbler on. Alright, I'm going to acclimate the temperature of the water. I got 5 of them. We're going to just use a Ziploc bag until the temperature of the water gets roughly the same. Probably take about 20 minutes. Alright, acclimation time is up. They're going to go in, and we hope these guys are still alive in a couple days. Probably come back each day and check on them just to make sure. Probably also going to get that aerator going right there. And some of you said that raccoons can get in these feeders. We definitely have some coons out here, so we're going to put some clamps on the feeder handle, which should prevent that. And you can see the owls hang out. He's been sitting up here. Time to go put some winter ryegrass on the island. Now that it's surrounded by water, we're going to use the boat to do it. We do have some green grass still here growing. It's just a little overshadowed by that brown top millet. But it's time to spread some more out. Now it's time to take a look at some of the game camera footage. Looks like we got a couple of spikes taking a walk through the pond to get a sip of water. And this doe looked a little bit startled, like she was looking at something, but no reason for concern because it's just the big friendly skunk we call Peppy. And we got a cool shot of one of the big hawks flying down into the field. And I wasn't sure if he got anything at first, but then he pounced on one of the little field mice. So thankfully we have the owls and the hawks helping us out with our mice population control. And a couple of bucks walking through the sorghum, eating some of those winter peas. And this is the farm cat. It just showed up a couple of weeks ago. Looks like it's made itself a new home here. Now it is time to feed Mr. Moby. Alright folks, that is going to wrap up this video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button because we're at the end of the pond build and we're going to be adding the fish really soon. But I hope you all enjoyed this video and we will see you all next time.